Welcome back, and we can't wait for On the Couch this year, beginning at 6:30 every Monday night. The encore at the usual time of 8:30. You can watch Gary, you can watch Nick, and you can watch Jonathan Brown as they dissect all the action, all the big stories from the weekend. Terrific start from Carlton. We get ready, Jace, for this third quarter. Melbourne needs some more goals. They've only kicked 4 in the first half. Kyle Chandler is one of effectively a bit like the sub tonight. He might see some time. They need to get him on the ground, Jason. I tell you why, because he kicked a goal last week. I want you to see here in the practice match against North Melbourne out at Casey Fields.
Oh, inside his own half.
Inside his own defensive half. It bounces about 20 metres out from goal. Keeps on going. How far?
91.4. That is an extraordinary kick. He won't like the use of the word sub, though. It's a fascinating story. Rookie listed. Made his debut, played a game in 2019, played none in 2020, played 5 last year, but 4 of them as an unused medical sub, and was an emergency for both the preliminary final and the grand final. But if you start kicking 91-metre goals, you won't be a sub for long.
No, that's right. And there was some interest in him from other clubs.
Yeah,
so,
there would be.
It was interesting that he stayed and they gave him another contract for this year. So he'll be desperate to get out there and be part of the action. If not tonight, then pretty soon once the season proper gets underway. But an excellent first half, as we've discussed, from a Carlton point of view, both in the way they've played and some of the newcomers to the club, such as George Hewitt and Adam Shearer has been terrific, as you would expect it. The former young Fremantle player, a bit of dancing action for Clayton Oliver to get himself in.
Well, they've got to do something, Hutto. It's a disappointing first half. Again, you can put whatever spin you want on this. One team's a bit more wound up than the other. You can do all of that. Bottom line is Melbourne play the Western Bulldogs in just over a couple of weeks, and the Carlton Footy Club have taken it, albeit a minor step, but they've taken a forward step, and that's good news. And let's see what sort of response. See whether Simon Goodwin would have said, right, let's have a look and see how proud you boys are.
Word from the Carlton camp: Mackay, Silvani, Curnow sit out the second half. Cottrell, Parks and Williamson coming in.
All right, let's see what sort of difference that might make. Kennedy watching Oliver closely underneath all of that.
Carlton, advantage.
Free kick and advantage going the Blues' way off the boot of Hewitt. Martin turned around, but he just provided a nice little step ladder for Jake Lever.
You haven't seen much of that tonight.
I think that's his first mark. Certainly first intercept mark.
It's out city side. Tom McDonald didn't get a run at the ball until late. He was able to still impact the contest, as you saw. Neil Bullen, Pickett, and ultimately Hunt with the shortest of passes.
So they've worked. I mean, we've talked a lot about Carlton's really good work. Melbourne's work forward to centre hasn't had any great science to it at all, which should be disappointing.
Pickett getting a little busier in the early stages of the third. Gawn and Brown, the dual targets. Viney came through, but didn't have the footy ultimately in hand.
Opportunity lost there for Ben Brown. He had Max Gawn doing the body work. He virtually had an uncontested run and jump at the footy. You can see him shaking his head, a little disappointed, knows he probably should have grabbed that one.
He's had a full pre-season after all the issues last year, and gee, looked dangerous in the practice match last week, but hasn't been able to get things going tonight. There's Williamson into the play, as we said. One of those 3 changes. Kennedy didn't quite know how close the pressure was, and it was immediate. The umpire was fairly kind to him, not so to O'Brien. So the D's do get to go forward again towards Brown, but again he can't get to.
And there's Oscar McDonald, who's clearly done his homework. I mean, he is a come-at-the-football player, Ben Brown. We know he's not a big pack mark. And Oscar McDonald said, well, I will not get beaten on the lead.
Yeah, and don't play behind him.
No.
Side by side.
Part of what Melbourne are trying to do with Ben Brown is to make him not just that come-at-the ball player, so he can go back the other way. So it'll be interesting to see how he progresses. There's the set-up kick for Fritsch. You couldn't hang on.
That's another drop mark that we would come to expect him to take at some stage. It was really interesting. I went down a little earlier and just stood waiting for the siren between the 2 boxes and benches, and the Carlton one was animated, as you'd expect. They looked like they were excited and they enjoyed seeing all the fruits of their labour over the summer months being played out, and the Demons were understandably really flat, so I'm really keen to see what sort of response they've got here.
Not a lot in the free kick, but an opportunity for Bailey Fritsch. He's the one you want with the ball in his hands.
For his 3rd goal of the evening, which he's duly delivered.
was one of the reasons they're holding a Premiership Cup in the trophy cabinet now. Bailey Fritsch is coming of age last year. It was almost like he developed leadership on field. He started to know when to impose himself, how to kick the critical goals.
What do you want to see?
Here he can do it pretty easily.
So if you're Melbourne, who are looking, what do you want to see, Jason, in this second half? Do you go, oh, well, let's just hold on and trust that they're going to come good and get their heads right, or do you want to see a response?
Yeah, look, the result's problematic. I don't think we worry about that too much, but you'd want to see them maybe just show a little bit more desperation than they did in the first half. And look, the season's coming up and everyone wants to be fit and ready to go for there, so there's probably deep down inside not a lot of gut desire to actually win the game, but half the time players get injured is when you're trying to look after yourself.
Kennedy and the Blues do get a bit of a full stream towards goal. Cripps was winding up. He had to see off Gawn, which he did. He's kicked his third. He's pretty happy about it, which is fair enough.
And a bit of their own medicine, Melbourne. That's a goal from centre clearance that has happened too easily. Like, we'll have another look at this. You see Kennedy just spit out the front, now backing in Cripps. And this is the beauty of Cripps. So Kennedy sees Cripps at the footy, and he says, I'm backing Cripps to win that ball. And then Hewitt gets involved, and then Cripps follows up. It's great signs for Patrick Cripps tonight. He looks like he's moving as well as we have seen him for a long, long time. And
how far did he run, Hutto?
Fair way. I think the umpire got a bit confused by what happened in between.
Well, he got it. Oh, geez, run a long way.
Yeah. So they've kicked 5 goals to 2 from stoppage, Carlton, which is a good result.
Yeah, it's a fantastic result. And Cripps with 3 goals of his own. On top of the ranking points. And he's right in it again, trying to get them moving out of the middle. Kennedy got pushed in the back.
So
that should be 50.
It will be.
Has to be. Has to be.
I'd like to know what Clayton Oliver's excuse is. Did he think it was Jack on his free kick?
He must have thought it was a teammate's free kick. But given the umpire said in the back, I don't know how he could possibly have thought that.
It's 550 metres.
Yeah, I think that's symptomatic of where Melbourne's head's at.
No mistake that time from Matthew Kennedy. He's had 4 scoring shots, 2 goals too, and Carlton lead by 39 points, but there may be a little bit of a medical issue for the Blues, which we'll talk about in a moment with Corey Durden.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, isn't it? You can just see here he's feeling something in the calf, obviously. Just pointing to the calf a couple of times there, and he hasn't resurfaced since half-time. So let's hope he's okay, because he's worked his way into this team, and he'd be absolutely penciled in for round 1, the way he's performed thus far.
Kennedy's had 6 touches this quarter already.
Yeah.
He's had an enormous night. And again, you judge players on the opposition they're up against, and it's a fair midfield bunch that Melbourne have got in there, and he and Cripps are having a bit of a party at the moment.
24 touches and 2 goals and early in the third quarter. 6
inside 50s, 4 clearances, 9 contested.
Cripps again involved twice with Chera. And then Hewitt. They collaborate nicely, and the delivery was finished off just fine as well. As the Blues attack cleanly out of the middle. There's Cottrell, who's just on the ground, making a lead in the pocket. Parks, another who's come off resting in the first half, or benched in the first half, but he's out there now. Taking the mark, gone back, gone bang! And he's overjoyed. Luke Parks from long range.
They can't get any better than this so far for Carlton.
How good's the enthusiasm amongst this group?
He's going nuts.
So here's a young group under a new coach, Michael Voss, a new team of coaches, really excited about the way things are developing for them. This is great to watch. If you're a Carlton fan, enjoy this, because you are headed in the right direction. Now, they're going to hit some road humps along the way, but they are showing us enough here to say they're heading in the right direction big time, Gaz.
Yep, and if you want to focus, I mean, we've focused small forwards, we've focused on Oscar McDonald's work on Brown and McGovern. The centre clearance, 15-5, Carlton's way, 4 goals from centre clearance, and it's up against Petrarca, Oliver, Viney, and that players of that ilk. There's your story right there.
Known more as a defender up until now, Luke Parks. His limited time with the Blues in South Australia. He celebrated that like his first goal ever.
You love it. That's how excited they get.
Great enthusiasm. Carlton lead by 45 points. McDonald. His wits about him there to get around the boot quickly. That's high against Langdon on O'Brien.
This is so good for Carlton.
Oh, that's 50. He's done it again.
They were not there at the briefing. They may have been there, but they weren't there.
Was it Harms that did it the first time? Jordan. It was Jordan that did the first time, yeah. So that's 2 identical errors.
Makes up for it perhaps by falling into the hole, Langdon and taking them out.
Confidence that you get from an outing like this for the Blues. I mean, again, Jake's right. The margin or the win or the loss, it's just the way they're playing.
And who they're doing it against.
Petrarca up to the wing, but not beyond. There's already again Kennedy receiving the handball and then getting involved in the chain as they work across the ground, ultimately with Cottrell. For Jack Martin had a good look at where it was coming, didn't quite get the leap right.
Straight up. Rocks. Be careful. Rocks. Mark and Max.
It's rowing.
Max, you're up.
Daniel
Turner on the ground. So pick up who's left for the D's at this stage. Gorn to Petrarca. Wasn't as clean as he would have liked. That was the fumble came from Sparrow, so not quite the slick demons we got used to late last year.
Fumbling is being brought on by some heat and pressure that Melbourne aren't ready for on March the 3rd, and that's a credit to the opposition.
1 foot on the line, Luke.
Drop marks, double handling.
All right, thank you. Adam, 1 metre. Stand.
Tomlinson picks off the short one.
Stand.
Lever casually gives it back. Jackson fully engaged with McGovern. Neil Bullen just paused for too long. The hesitation.
That's what you want to see from Mitch McGovern. We know he can take the marks and he's used the ball well, but when you show urgency in defence and you affect a tackle like that.
Turner's come on for Baker. No injury concern for Oscar Baker, but that's the change.
Okay. High ball McGovern. And Gorn commanding in the air as always. An extraordinary leader he was for Melbourne last year, Max Gorn. Got to lift that premiership cup after all those years and bring so much joy. The long-suffering Demons fans, Gaz. It's okay, it's only a pre-season game.
Long-suffering, right? No, exactly. But it is, as I said at half-time, that Simon Goodwin would be coming into this game. What am I going to see? He wouldn't have wound them up too much. And
it gives him a bit to work with now, though,
Of course, you can throw it right back at their feet because you know what's coming in a season opener at the MCG in just over a couple of weeks. And this is what happens when... And I'm not sounding condescending one bit. Carlton have been great, but it's important for Carlton to be great, with their new coach and their first outing and all that. And they've absolutely come out and played in the manner that you'd hope.
Vigorous tackle from Oliver. Didn't stop Cripps getting rid of the footy. Harms. His skills were excellent to win the ball. Used his body. And now Oliver came to a standstill. Could well have been penalised. It was Fisher that time who the clamps on.
Dispose of immediately is the call, and that is the contentious one there.
And normally when you try to fend, that is counted as your prior opportunity.
I think that could have been a free kick, given the new stricter interpretation.
Jackson, cleverly done. Not so from Harms. Again, a bit of a millionaire's handball. Bowie back to the wing. Eventually, Newman got it under his control. Linked up with Boyd and then Sard. Bit of a waiting game from Williamson. Back to Boyd. He got smashed as he kicked at Pickett with a hunt.
2 or 3 short chases there from Pickett. He darted after one, then had to readjust, came again. That caused the turnover.
Oliver Lou Parks allowed him to kick cleanly into the wing, but McGovern.
5th intercept mark for Mitch McGovern. It's the most on the ground. The next best is 4 to Max Gawn, who's played behind the balls of Ruckman when he marks a ball like that.
He picked his own mark, Bailey Fritsch.
That's how many 50s is that?
That's 6.
With me, Cozzy. Keep going. Right here.
Not necessarily discipline, it's just sloppiness,
Yeah,
I think.
Just not sharp in the mind.
Stand, play on.
Hands off to Boyd, who is a good user of the football. Parks wasn't far off the mark. Smith, good enough. Although, it's coming back. Lewis Young. Williamson in the right place, but doesn't take the mark. Hunt with a forward handball. Neil Bullen to Bren Brown. He latches onto that one.
Stand! Stand! Move on. Play on!
Had a good long look before going down the line to Gawn. Neil Bullen underneath. Fritsch. Sparrow kept his balance and kicked it cleanly. Fine goal from Tom Sparrow. Kicked a big goal as part of the fun in that third term in the grand final. And he puts one through here in the third. It's back to 39 points.
Well, good contest from Max Gawn, 1 against 3. And then you had the Crummers. That's a good finish because you haven't got time to straighten up. You're virtually kicking off one step. It's good goal sense.
Great front and square from Neil Bullen, wasn't it? Which we haven't seen much of it all tonight as well. So they really like Tom Sparrow at Melbourne. They think he's got a huge upside, become a big part of their red-hot midfield, but they're very, very comfortable having him in the middle. If it's one of their big guns, it's not.
No. Here we go, boys. You get crib. Clear the centre circle. Right back.
Cripps, Hewitt, Chera in the middle with Pitnet. It's worked beautifully tonight for Carlton.
Jackson's foot slid, but he recovered well. Petrarca couldn't shake off Chera.
That's the new interpretation right there. Didn't dispose of it correctly. Had the opportunity. That's a free kick.
Saad not far off being within range and gives it plenty. Brayshaw found himself slightly off balance. He adjusted well. Fierce tackling on Martin.
High contact, Melbourne. Adam Tomlinson.
I think Saad's game's been good as well. I think the criticism last year is that he came and his attention to the defensive part of it was sacrificed sometimes because his willingness and want to attack. I think his starting point's been much better tonight.
Chera and Petrarca having a few mini battles tonight, which has been great to watch. Petrarca back to the middle, Blues well represented. Young made the spoil. And the Demons, though, had plenty still on their feet. Jackson playing it wide for Spargo. Fritsch, if he wants to go short. Gawn and Brown, if he prefers a longer option. Somewhere in between. He waited in the end for Ben Brown. It was as clean as they might have liked. Now Neil Bullen with an ugly-looking kick right to the top of the square and beyond, and Maxi Gawn is hard to beat.
He just drifted forward, Max. None of the other talls had seen him.
Well, Jackson's rucking, and this is what clubs will be aware of as the season goes on, is that this guy is a genuine goal kicker.
Geelong fans know that all too well, Gaz.
You would sit there, though, Gaz, and say, hard to miss him as he drifts forward.
Yeah, I know.
And yet there were only small defenders back there in the vicinity.
Yeah, he and Brown were on their own for quite a while as well. So we'll see what the matchup is here and see how they get set. I mean, Lewis Young has been okay. He's settled in back there. We know Wiedering not there tonight, so they're one down and one of the best defenders in the comp. So it's Oscar McDonald that goes. So Gawn goes to the goal square. He can play legitimate full forward. There's no question about that. Tom McDonald, who's had like most of his teammates, had a pretty quiet night. He's the other one with Lewis Young.
Poor old Jordan Boyd had no hope of getting up to where Max was marking the ball there.
And Tom just went down, had a word to Oscar and said, good luck with Max, the brothers. I don't think Tom can start in the square, can he? Can't have two in the square.
No, they've got two in the square.
You're not allowed to have two, eh?
Maybe it's...
You've got to have at least one.
You've got to have at least one, so maybe you can have two.
Can you?
Kennedy knocks it out wide. Good work again. Hewitt and Chera. Hands from Langdon allowed Bowie to run.
See Jack Martin there? That there is what has been as impressive as anything. Is Jack Martin's pressure from behind caused the handball to miss, goes out of bounds, and now they get another good look at it.
And he just told Ed Langdon all about it. He said, oh, you heard the footsteps, didn't you? Caused the error.
Pitnet grabbed it. What to do next? Off to Chera. And the quick kick is easy pickings for Jake Lee.
Clearance situation right now, boys, is 34-18 in favour of Carlton.
Even numbers, although it's not an even battle when it's Max Gawn. Long way from home this time. McDonald and Fritsch kicking a bit away, so there's the bit, there's the short pass. Again, it's Sparrow.
Move it on, play on.
A lengthy look. And then a miss kick down the line. Petrarca is able to spin around and still keep his feet, bang it up. Fritz propelled himself forward, and Harms, was it touched? He doesn't think so, and neither does the goal umpire. Williams tried, but it's a goal, and they've been able to kick 3 in a row now.
Just the strength of Christian Petrarca able to keep the ball alive. He had no right to actually centre that ball. He was pinned up against the boundary line. He was able to turn his body around, ride a tackle, and then centre the ball. You did say it's somewhat of a risk going along the ground when there's a player desperately trying to get back and play the goalkeeper role. Inches in it. But again, a good crumb, which you said before we haven't seen a lot of. Neil Bullen had a good one before, now Harms.
Next lad set up.
So Mackay, Silvani and Cripps, were they the three that have been rested for the rest of the game? So
Berno, Silvani and Mackay.
yeah, and that starts to bite a bit as well. But
Melbourne, one in the goal
a little bit
square.
of a semblance of some
Melbourne.
fight here, 3 unanswered goals.
Got a bit tangled with each other, the ruckman, that time. Kennedy, though, again goes to work. Chera and Hewitt could hardly have been more impressive. Bangs it high up into the 50. Brayshaw with the hands. Now Martin with the footy. Turner, impressive tackle. You heard the call from the umpire. He got it away legally. Tomlinson's kick disrupted. Well judged by DeConey. Chera found a way out. Fisher, the willing ally. Back to Hewitt. And now the go-ahead from Williamson,
great
but
tackle.
not too far ahead.
Oh, he caught him high.
Straight up now. Carlton straight to win that high.
Langdon can't believe it.
He nearly peeled off 5 metres inside then too, Langdon, till the umpire said stand.
So it's the second tackle
Yeah,
was
it
the
was
problem.
Petrarca, yeah.
Kennedy wasn't far off. Gone. Muscle his way through. Setterfield. What to do next for Fisher? Back outside the 50 with Williams. His left boot, as you saw, skied it. Gone. Owies. Pitnet. Cottrell. Fisher. There's big numbers swelling around it here. And there's no way out.
Max. Tom.
So they have lost a bit, haven't they, that forward half, obviously without Silvani and without Mackay, and also with the injury to Durden. Petrarca heaves. Newman taking no chances. Pitnet desperately trying to get it to Boyd. In the end, Sparrow's probably lucky because he pretty much dived on the football there. Corn still managed to get a hand to it. They were ready for Petrarca, though. 3 of them pile
Straight
on.
up, separate. Thank you.
How many are we going to get to the season opener, Gary, do you think, for the grand final rematch?
25,000,
Be huge, won't it?
Yeah, I would think so. You'd think maybe 70 plus. I mean, Wednesday night's the unknown. I love the fact that it's been brought in, and I think it should be there for, for the next however long.
Sure.
It might depend on how many turn up.
Yeah, I think it's a one-off for the season starter. I don't think Wednesday night will be an impediment too much.
Mark and Tom, thanks.
I wouldn't think. It's going to be a big build-up, long weekend, rolling in, what's going on.
Carlton's lead trimmed to 27 points here. Cripps back on the ground. Saad was the one that forged a path and then went after it a second time. And then he's going to have to retreat.
So
What will be interesting from a Carlton perspective is if Melbourne get the next goal, they'll fancy themselves just to steamroll over the top of them in the next quarter and a bit. So Carlton have got to learn to play at this level of energy for 4 quarters.
And this is one of the first times that they've, the 3 goals in a row. They haven't kicked back-to-back goals all night. And one of the things we know has been an issue for Carlton over time is their ability to stop these run-ons. That they've been able to kick successive goals. So right now it's in a really interesting phase. They've kicked 3 in a row. They've got some big players off the ground, granted, but can they put some things in place to ensure that this doesn't become 4 and 5 and 6 goals?
Williams scoots into the back pocket, and again, it's the highest of kicks. Everyone had a little crack at it. No one quite got the timing right. Martin ran into Brayshaw. Bow in Jordan. Tough one for Petrarca here, outsized, outnumbered. McDonald thrashed it back. Brayshaw with first dibs. Delicate little operation, and another umpire dangerous on the foot.
96 points was the most scored against Melbourne last year, for the whole year, by Adelaide, when they won by a point. So the fact that Carlton have been able to kick 81 points already, there's still a quarter and a bit to go, is another thing that they'd be hanging their hat on.
Play on.
O'Brien, a logical option.
Stand.
Again, it's a slowish play.
And this is what you want to see, Hunter. They've given up 3. They don't want to be going quick and risking turning over and making the 3 come into 4. So this here is a good sign. Play conservative for a couple of minutes, go down the line, just arrest a bit of the momentum back.
Here the body's cracking in. Fisher, nice little pop kick. Could have been some interference there. Hewitt got the run around. Setterfield, Chera tracked it down, fed it back to the left foot of Newman. Missed strike there from Newman.
It's a disappointing kick on his natural foot. That last contest when the ball went forward again, it was always front and square. He got his first hands on it. He finds some brilliant position. He really reads the play well. He was trying to milk a 50 there, Newman, pretending he was being held down.
Softens the kick. Cripps in the air. Cottrell couldn't quite manufacture a significant enough kick. And so the Demons will try and get some system here. There's run and options for Bowie by hand, and work their way back out to the wing. Keith McDonald though, so McGovern has the next decision to make. Now Williams all the way back. There was Shane. Played finals footy last year, a couple of games for the Dogs. Wasn't there on grand final day. O'Brien back through the middle. Cripps had his arm chopped or front on contact. Take the pick.
Good aggressive kick from O'Brien. He had short options wide.
Newman and that City wing. DeConning will be in the frame here. Just came late. Oliver.
Good heat here.
Yeah, trying to wriggle out of that Tomlinson.
Really good pressure again. It's been a staple of their night. So Oliver just went, they got to him and then straight to Tomlinson. And it's a small Carlton forward again. It was a team effort there, but
15 gone.
So Matthew Owies, excellent first half. Continuing that on. Just with the edge out. And then that's not ideal.
So Harms kicks the goal, the 3rd in a row at the 18-minute mark, or 18:50 of this 3rd quarter. So that's when the alarm bell goes off. They've now got to 27 minutes and not given up another one. That's a win for Carlton. This time last year, that could be 6 goals already.
That's a good call. So it'd be interesting to know behind the scenes what they've done there,
Well,
whether the message has gone out or it's a restructure or...
Well, from what we see here, they look like they've gone a bit slower,
Yep.
been a bit more conservative with the ball, tried to hold on to it a little bit more, played to the boundary a bit more, bought themselves some time, and now they look like they've got, you know, a bit of momentum back.
Yep. O'Brien. Koning comes. Then a few near misses from the athletic number 12.
You get the feeling he's going to take a big one, though. It's a serious leap he's got.
It's better not to take it now. Better to take it when the season
save it,
proper happens. Because no one remembers marks taken now later in the year, Jess. You wouldn't have really got out of first gear, would you, for these sort of matches?
Played every game the same, Hudder. At least I played them. Gaz never played the pre-season games.
You never trained.
He was the Cotton Wool King.
3.5 to go in the third. Gorn at the front. O'Brien. Cripps. And the Blues break again impressively. Fisher. Lever read it off the boot.
Yeah, it wasn't a great kick. It wasn't a great option to a 1-on-2.
So, yeah, without Harry there, Jake
It's a little
Lever
bit
now
different, isn't it?
just slides back into that hole, just
Yeah.
playing off his man a little bit more.
Good depth on that kick.
They're out here. They're out here, the D's.
Got Brown or McDonald.
Oh, big got Cozzy on here.
And Fritsch has run all the way back to the square, but he does go for Pickett in the pocket.
Good effort. Young got back hard.
Lewis Young had 21 disposals on debut against Carlton, 2017. Hasn't ever got close to that since.
They never forgot it.
They always remember those, don't they? I love those little ones. But he's looked okay tonight, back there. Langdon slapped it at goal. And that's another goal.
It's an interesting one for the game.
Now the margin starts to tighten up. And this is what good teams do. They can have bad days and find ways to get out of it. They have great confidence in each other. They'll back themselves to be able to go up a gear when they need to. Carlton have been terrific, but we said before, this game's played over 4 quarters, and if you can't maintain the rage for that 4 quarters, you might find yourself in trouble.
So Cripps is still playing. It's not like he's been put on ice. It's Kernow and Silvani are the 2, and Harry. So Harry's a big one, clearly, and Jack. And Ed is a really good player. But you're suggesting that there should be a response from Melbourne, and it's coming, and it's 4 in a row now, and you know, what we've been talking about remains relevant. You know, they've got to be able to find a way to stop this and score, so that the run of goals doesn't become greater.
DeConing into the ruck for the Blues, and it's Pitnet that goes down to the goal square at full forward.
It's a great scenario, I think, for Michael Voss, as it stands right here for his team. It's what you want to happen in a practice match.
Cripps scooped it up. Kept them guessing. And the kick went to the favour in the end of Lever, and off to Tomlinson. Fluent-looking kick. Pickett v Sard. Sard with the spoil. O'Brien.
Good from Sard. Again, defend when you got to defend. Play tight. Use your reference point, and then you know that he can attack and run off and do all that stuff. So I think it's been really good from him tonight.
Straight away, they're allowing Jack Lever to sag off, so he's loose. He's got control back where he wants it, looking marshalling that defence.
Well, they got one back as well, so that might be their response in the last few minutes. Is, hey, we'll put one back. We don't want to give up a 5th unanswered goal.
So McGovern is that right spare at the moment. We might see him in just a moment. Oh, he went through his fingers. He let it get out the back. McDonald. And that's incorrect disposal.
Good follow-up. He just misread that, but he got into the right spot and to get back there and try and slow things up a little bit.
So no free kick on the way out. That is now going to be an infringement against Carlton to go the way of Clayton Oliver. A little untidy. O'Brien is the infringer.
Stand. Pat, come to me. Play on.
Top of the square. Oh! He hangs on. DeConing, big leap. Brings it down.
How do you have to wait 4 minutes, Jason?
He nearly jumped too high.
Well, there was not enough under him, was there, to elevate him any higher?
You got to jump over it.
Pitnet, how exciting is he going to be for Blues fans?
Right, you got Charlie to come. One day you're going to see Harry, Charlie, and this man all on the one side.
Oh, wow, that's a big lead. And what it does do with De Koning and Pitnet, it gives you great variety. Two really contrasted ruckmen, the big bullocking hard worker, and then the athlete that can run, jump, and do those sorts of things.
Kennedy again, possession number 28. Cripps. Melbourne have an extra, but it didn't matter. Fought hard for it that time. Parks drags down a good grab, and he looks up. There's lots of D's deep, so he went short. It was a smart kick, as it turned out. Cottrell's got off the mark, and that's way too short on the kick.
It's a no-look kick. With a no-look result.
I think he changed his mind after he dropped the ball, and in the end, that was no good. But that was the opportunity. They had space, they had play. All they had to do was pick the right option, and they're having a shot for goal. So at least they were able to create another opportunity.
Arms through to Brayshaw. And now Petrarca up to meet it.
They've got to sniff now, the D's, though.
Just enough time for a late one if they hit the target. No free kick to Williams. Oscar McDonald, could the Blues sneak it forward? Kennedy, Cripps held up by Petrarca.
He's unlucky. He didn't duck Paddy Cripps, he slipped. And that's what...
50.
Oh, no.
Well, this is the first of the AMMI games, right? So what we're going to find out is whether this has been a particularly undisciplined effort from Melbourne, or is it going to take a fair bit of time for the players in the AFL to come to grips with this?
Max entitled to go over and
not really
give him a lip like that?
Well,
after doing it himself earlier.
Yeah, but isn't it interesting? I mean, this might be just a very undisciplined, or the natural reaction of these blokes is going to take a fair while for them to shut their gobs.
It didn't look demonstrative.
No, did he say much?
We couldn't hear what was being said, Hutto. That's the difference.
We'll see how many other teams are watching too, won't we, tonight, by how they play from here on in.
Yeah.
Cripps. This is for his 4th goal. This is great to see for the Blues fans. Looks in great shape. He's leading from the front. He's kicked 4 goals. And had 28 touches in 3/4 of football. And not that the win or the loss matters overly, but that's a nice steadying goal for the Blues. So much to talk about as we head to the start of the AFL men's competition. There'll be so much to talk about on AFL 360. Jared and Robbo returns at the desk in season 2022.
That's the singing voice of the great Ronald O'Barassi. Tuesday night, 8:30 after AFL 360. Heartbeats true for all the Melbourne supporters. And I think footy supporters will enjoy it as well. It was a long time coming, although it means nothing in season 2022. And the first real outing here in the AMMI Community Series has Carlton leading by 26 points. They've led all night and been really, really impressive under Michael Voss. Carlton fans will be delighted with what they see there. Kennedy and Cripps have been sensational through the middle of the ground. We know that there's no Wiedering today. Tom De Koning is a man who, if they ever get a big 3 in Cripps, Curnow and he on the one ground, there might be no one safe, Jace.
He's got a leap on him. He's an athlete. So he's just going to improve. He's still finding his way. Nearly took that one very early in the game, and that would have got his confidence at a sky-high level. But he's not afraid to attack the footy. He takes the pack with him. I love that. Good, courageous attack on the footy. And just when we're thinking, oh, we'll save it for the real season, he was able just to ride Max and nearly jumped over the football. He was up that high.
Cop that, Max.
No, he's going to be a beauty for them.
Yeah, went up the other end. And you know, as we've seen today already, they've got plenty of smalls, so you don't have to mark. As long as he can bring it to ground, then they'll be doing a pretty good job. So 26 points. Melbourne got a bit interested. It was a 5-goal to 4 third quarter. Let's see what the last quarter brings with Anthony Hudson.
Yes, it'll be interesting again from a management of time and players' point of view, but also what the attitude of those that have been out there for the whole match is. And whether there's a will and a fight for Melbourne to try and get over the line. Parker and Chera enjoying a bit of an extra conversation there and then getting back into it. They've had an excellent duel out there for a good portion of the match. Gorn with the tap. Cripps bypasses him. Pitnet with the follow-up. Harms tracked it all the way. Jackson, one more give, and Neil Bullen would have liked to have been in the clear, but he was well followed by O'Brien. Now McGovern tracking it back. A fumble from Sard, and Fritsch pounced on that. Found his goal-kicking form in the third quarter, and now has 3.
Well, it is a very muggy night. It's been a hot day, very muggy conditions. Hands are going to be slippery, but fumbles are costly. They just are. Carlton have tried to maintain possession rather than just hack kick it when under pressure in defence, and I like what they're doing with it. But sometimes, if you're going to play that way, you're going to make mistakes, and that is a classic case. He's played a good game, Adam Sard. He's had 20 touches, he's defended well, he's rebounded well, but on that occasion, maybe he took his eye off the ball. He was wondering what he was going to do with it before he actually took possession. Costly mistake. Makes goal kicking look easy, Valley Fritsch. You're never quite sure how well he's playing, then all of a sudden he's got 4 goals next to his name.
Back to 20 points. Harms. Hewitt. Had him covered, but doesn't get the whistle from the umpire.
Mark, Max. Thank you.
Max gone 21 disposals tonight. But the Blues are going to break from the stoppage again. Out wide for Jack Martin. Had a few offers. Could have gone short to Parks. A little more ambitious than that, and that was reasonable given the result. Cottrell. De Koning is...
Good defence, Tomlinson. A really good defence. So he played De Koning from behind, and at the right time just got himself in front. So he's come back nicely, Adam Tomlinson, and it'd be a fair chance, you'd think, to be playing in a couple of weeks' time.
When all the key defenders come back, where does he play?
Well, Harrison Petty's out for a period of time, given he's had some surgery. So
May comes back in.
May will play, Rivers will play, Salem plays.
Rivers will be a few weeks before he's back, though.
Automatic when he is, yep. So there's a spot there, there's a couple of spots there, and you would think Tomlinson takes one, and the others haven't exactly covered themselves in glory. The small Carlton forwards have had their way with them.
Hewitt, haphazard, hopeful kick into the 50. Martin was threatening, denied by Hunt.
Oh, good tap.
Williams fell over, which meant the D's could pounce. Brown, interesting looking kick. Didn't quite get the shape right on the end. Newman. Got it to Martin.
She's starting to make some errors, the Blues. Need to be careful.
Neil Bullen collected, and they collected him. Fisher found a path ultimately. Got it onto the chest of De Koning. Cripps. Now Hewitt. Never been a big goal kicker. And that drifts away to the left.
They'd be pretty... the list group would be pretty satisfied with what they've seen from their big additions. George Hewitt's had 30, been really good. Chera's been great in the middle of the ground.
Would you let Hewitt just be an accumulator and play like he has tonight, or would you give him roles?
Well, I think he's one of those players that is good enough to play both ways, to look after an opponent, but also, there's another great intercept mark from McGovern. Can he hit a target?
Man, he played on. His confidence is building. Wasn't the best result for them in the end.
I don't think he has to be a shutdown, is what I'm saying, Hunter. I think he's a good midfielder in his own right, but he'll also pay attention to his opponent.
6 intercept for Mitch McGovern. I want to explore why it is that he's looked so at home when we get a chance.
Arms with Jackson deep. He chose Fritsch in the pocket, who drew some high contact.
Clubs will go to work on McGovern, but again, it is... As a forward, he looked at C. His inability to really sort of read what was unfolding and then deal with what was, trying to get to space. As someone that's able to sit back and pick off whatever comes down, it's just he just looks tailor-made. Now, they're going to make him accountable, don't worry, as this season wears on, but he's made a pretty good fist of it tonight.
Bailey Fritsch continuing on from his grand final heroics. 6 back then, 5 already tonight. Trims the margin even further, back to 15 points. McGovern showed in glimpses at Adelaide that he can actually play this role. Within games, he played back. So in a way, it's surprising. I know he hasn't got his body right, maybe his attitude at times, but surprising in a way.
Well, I suppose Liam Jones and Wiedering have sort of held
True.
it down for a long time. And my question to both of you, how important is it, or is it important, or is there any significance in Melbourne getting up and winning this from here? Where does that sit in terms of the story?
Melbourne will want to win, purely simply because you like to keep the wood over opposing teams, particularly those that are trying to work their way up the table. You want to keep putting them back a step, just keep putting them on their heels.
They've kicked six of the last 7, and again, it's the storyline of what the Carlton team's trying to get better at that's important here too.
Bit of urgency from Cripps. Took a careful bounce, and it was perhaps a step too many. Interesting non-decision there, umpire.
Well, immediately would be the saving grace for him.
It must have been deemed a proper handball.
Yeah, got rid of it immediately.
And they forced the turnover in the end with the tackle on Kennedy by Jackson. And Viney. And now Pickett finally getting loose with footy in hand. He hasn't had a particularly memorable night.
Just seven possessions for Cozzy.
Lewis, around a bit. Thank you.
Has laid 8 tackles, though, which is a fair contribution.
Wait for
Record
my
on
call.
itself.
You.
Hunt wasn't far off the mark. Plowman on the ground now for Carlton. I think he played earlier this afternoon.
Keep it on, play on.
Fine. Line up for that one. It's coming back. Chera. Sat for him comfortably. Plowman. Got both hands around it. And there's Williamson up to the 50. Within range.
Well done.
And there's more to like.
Fisher.
It was Fisher. Zach Fisher puts it through.
He's got a couple now, Fisher, and that's the settler that they needed, because it looked like Melbourne was starting to get control, and they'd had a couple of opportunities, the Blues, a couple of skill errors, a couple of mistakes. It set them on the back foot. That's a great finish from a really good passage of play.
I like the decision of Williamson to go straight away here. You know, like, that's one where you could be forgiven and go, oh, I'll take it on and go back and kick it from outside 50, but he just saw Fisher and said, no, you're in a better position.
And he's now 23 years of age, so working into the best part of his career, hopefully. A lot to like. If you're a Carlton fan, you can become a Carlton member.
Looks like Wiedemann might be coming on.
There's all the details.
So Anthony told us earlier he's played an early game and kicked 4, so he's going to get an opportunity, it would seem.
Yes, with 15 minutes remaining of playing time, so it won't be a long time, but interesting from a body management point of view, isn't it, to have such a big gap between playing and then coming back and playing at night?
Yeah, absolutely.
You wonder, so what's the upside and what's the potential downside? Now, clearly they think that the physical team have ticked off on it. I wonder what he can do in 15 minutes to justify it.
Having said that, for a player on the outside trying to get into this team, he's probably saying, I'll take the 15 minutes, absolutely, and I'll show you what I can do.
15 minutes of fame.
Andy Warhol.
Yeah.
But if he comes on, takes a couple of marks, all of a sudden it gives him something to think about. You know, if he shows he can impose himself.
Yeah, well, Tom McDonald's had a pretty lean sort of a night. Hasn't really got loose.
I heard the touch call. Of course, Darren Burgess has departed and gone to Adelaide. Selwyn Griffiths, who worked underneath him for a year or so, has taken over, and from all reports he's got the D's in great shape.
Great chase.
What a chase.
That is the athlete. That is the athlete, Tom DeConey.
That's more exciting than the mark, Jason.
That is sensational. He never gave up on it. Fair enough, Jaden Hunt looked at him and said, I'm one of the quickest in the comp, I'll take you on. And he said, no, you won't. That is unbelievably good.
And the Blues thrust forward. Kennedy, he's still got the urgency and just enough juice in the tank to dive forward and take them out.
Well, they're plus 73. They've had 363 possessions to Melbourne's 290. And when you look at it, Cripps 31, Kennedy 31, Hewitt 30. They've absolutely owned the ball. And this bloke, I don't know whether you want to waste a game as good as this in a non-official match, but he's had just an unbelievable outing.
2 goals too as well, so that's his 5th shot for goal. This is toughest. And so it proves.
So the goals are interesting, aren't they? Kennedy, from a midfield point of view, they've got 2 from Kennedy, they've got 4 from Cripps. So straight away, you've got 6 goals from your midfield. That is, you take that all day long.
Pittner tries to do it on his own, but fell just short.
Back to the line. Stand. Stand. Play on.
Tomlinson. No one could really get a run and jump. Gawn probably had the most impact. Viney's trademark style somehow got it to Sparrow. Plays the waiting game. Eventually has to kick it, and it landed with Neil Bullen, who wasn't as crisp and clean as he would have liked. Turns tackler on McDonald. Gawn. Cleverly done that time. Arms to Oliver. Brown and Fritsch. Williams scouting. Looked up and the cupboard was bare, so he went short to Williamson. There was danger all around, but somehow they get through. McDonald to a one-on-one. Socket away successfully by Hunt, and then copped it. Viney's going to wear it from Owies. Play on, play on. Chera, more of the same. Sparrow, eventually it's gone. Kicked it to grass, but he knew that Oliver was on his way. So, take an exacting kick, and it was anything but. Kennedy and Setterfield and Sard as the Blues find some rhythm through the middle again.
They've been lively, Williamson, since he's got down there.
There's a good look around. Parks was an option, but it was a longer, more aggressive kick. Owies, excellent collect. Went straight into trouble. Bowie's smother really hurt as it went into his face. Has to recover quickly to get that handball away. Gawn, fumble. Plowman tackle. Oliver with a clear head and clean hands. Jordan with the kick. And line ball for Ben Brown.
Got nothing ahead, though. They've got no... Well, Sam Wiedemann's on the ground now, so he's the only real target. If they can get to him. Been picked up by Newman, so it's not a bad option. Lewis Young pushes back now, so they've organised themselves really well, Carlton here. Got back hard.
Newman, and lots of bodies around him, has to find the energy for a second crack at it.
Well, that was the one that Jason was talking about with Sam Wiedemann. So he had Newman, eventually got to it, got 2 hands to it and dropped it.
Bit of cramp coming in for Newman.
Oh, smothered it with his chin. That does not tickle.
Carlton's lead is 21 points. Martin stakes out a hand pass. Good core strength from Williamson. Chera, that was crisp for the Blues. They kept it moving, and they always had a teammate in a better position. And you can see the result. Chera, they get it through the middle. Newman back onto the left side. Quite hit the mark. Is it paid? Maybe a slightly generous interpretation.
That could be their best passage of play, and they've had a few for the night, because there was some pressure from Melbourne for one of the few times. Got really heat on it, and they were supported. There was someone there that they tackled. They got the next one, and then the ball came inside and it opened up.
The replay would suggest it may have bounced, Gaz, but what about the game he's played?
Like the cricketer should have put his hand up and say, no,
just walk. No. Matthew Owens, he's played a good game. Coming in for his second goal, but he's been lively, involved in everything up forward.
Just had a sneaky look around to his right. But no, go myself from 45. He's got right underneath it. Just a little bit of strike.
Clear out. No 15, play on.
No panic. Tomlinson, McDonald.
Should have been a free kick to McDonald. 100%. Williams turned and looked at McDonald.
Now Wiedemann's ducked out the back here over kick. I'm not sure that's where it was designed to go. Fritsch came up, made the contest. Hewitt and Harmstead each other down. Kennedy, Saad, tried to work onto his left foot. He worked the angle for Owies. Smith will chase. Owies will look inside. Plowman, lever, grasping. Did he grab him without the footy?
Interesting role for Plowman up forward, Gaz. I wonder if he's trained there in the off-season. Is it another experiment by Michael Voss?
Immediately I thought, oh, well, they've run out of forwards and he's played, so they just put him down there. But he's done a few things and got to good spots. I don't know the answer, Jace, but he might think this is my one chance to get out of the back half here.
Gone. Saw off one tackle, couldn't see off the second. Fisher tracked him down.
And Michael Voss will be pleased with so much tonight. I think the pressure from their forwards particularly would be one of the things that he'd be absolutely over the moon with. So now Jason's already talking about Owies. We've talked about Durden. Sadly, he's had a bit of a calf, but he was the star early. And now Zach Fisher's getting busy and coming up for his third goal.
15 gone.
It'll take his best, kicking from just outside 50.
4 goals, 8 in 10 games last year, Zach Fisher. He did move out to the left to give himself maximum opportunity to leverage it back, but
Thank you, boys.
just fell short.
Thanks, Tom. Jake right out late, thanks.
7 minutes, 7.5 minutes to go. Still time.
Talk down the middle? No. Not maybe for Jake Bowie.
You.
Langdon lets it leak through. Martin to Fisher.
Got that.
Handball ends up with Saad. Short to Kennedy again. 36 disposals from Matthew Kennedy.
He's wasted one of his all-timers. No, he hasn't wasted it at all. He's played himself into great form.
29 is his best in the home and away season.
Drop mark by Langdon there is just typical of where they've been. You ask the question whether their head's in it or
15 gone, Jack.
from a concentration point of view, they would be, it's well off their best, Melbourne.
Couple of good close-ups from the young fans behind Jack Martin. Hasn't got that quite right. Gone.
All clear.
Sees it through.
Wasn't a bad effort, though. You can just imagine there'd be a little bit of joy inside the Carlton coach's box because they've seen great things in all parts of the ground. They'd love what they're seeing in the forward 50 in terms of the pressure, the balance, the smalls, kicking goals. They'd love what's happening in the midfield because that's been total domination. They won't mind what's happening down back either because I think they've defended very well against a very good side tonight, and they've shown even when they were put under pressure, they were able to find a way to take time off the clock and stand up.
Demons finally found some space and link impressively. Neil Bullock puts the finishing touches on the play. So this was a regular season match. Back to 18 points. 5 minutes, almost just over 6 minutes, in fact, left on the clock.
Still plenty of time on the clock. No doubt about that, but the question is, can they get a run on and win some of that contested ball in the middle of the ground, Melbourne, to kick 3 quick goals?
Well, again, we just say for Carlton the result, don't worry about the result, but in terms of if they were to lose from here, it would be done in a way or in a manner that would be concerning. The loss, you can put whatever weight you want on it, but that would mean that they've given up,
Melbourne, you've got 7.
what's his margin, 18 points. That means they would have given up 4 inside 6 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's why it can't happen. That's why it's important, really important, the next 6 minutes from the Blues.
So will they go into time off the clock mode at different stages in the last 5 minutes and play a little bit of possession footy? The players running everywhere here.
Just getting their starting position sorted. So Blues coming off a season where they had 8 wins and finished
to Carlton after all that.
13.
I think James Harms found himself stuck in the middle with 5. He was desperately trying to get out.
Off to Newman. Bangs it up. Give them all a run and a jump. Most likely was Plowman from behind, or always at the front. Cottrell, they flick it around. Bowie. Forward handball. Harms couldn't bring it with him. Turns tackler. Pickett. A little bit lucky, but it works out well to the benefit of Jackson. I don't think Pickett was ready for it to come back his way. So, little hiccup on the way, but Harms. Now, Petrarca. It's lengthened the kick. Wiedemann can't mark, but Fritsch will kick another. No.
Well, they're the ones he's got to be taking. Sam Wiedemann. He didn't have an opponent. He had a run and jump. Now, there was contact and it was solid, but you get those opportunities. He's had 2 of those since coming on where you think if he took a big grab and got his confidence up, it just sort of puts you into the mix, and they start thinking he's kicked 4.5 in the earlier game today. Carry that good form in.
Newman to Sarr. So what's expectations for Carlton this year, Gaz?
Oh, I think finals are genuine, something they should be shooting at. Now, definitively, if they don't make it, is it a failure? Well, that will depend on what happens, of course, through the course of the year. But they've got enough good players and players that can influence results to suggest they should be in the mix. And with Patrick Cripps playing in this manner and what we've seen from Chera and Hewitt, they've got depth through the middle.
Wiedemann cops it. The pressure's still there from the Blues. Parks. Fritsch gets another look at it. Crafty kick. Doesn't roll his way.
Charlie Kernov's the wild card, isn't he?
Yeah.
You get he and Harry in sync, and
Still might take a little while, you think, for Kerno to get to his best, but hopefully he can come on with the fact that the benefit of playing late last year.
it's a good start anyway. Tonight's a good start. We know where it sits in the importance of...
Oh, he's nearly done it again.
Tell you what, he's going to be such a great feature if he's going to keep jumping like this, isn't he, for watching Carlton matches.
It could be a mark of the year coming in the not too distant future.
4 minutes, 16 points. Williams. Quick hack kick out of there from Setterfield. Marked by Jackson. Happy to play it back and give a good look for Smith further up the ground. Bowie cuts it back for Petrarca. Ben Brown is back in the goal square. Tom McDonald might be the target. 2 to beat in the air. Brown left it for Sparrow. And they are back within 10 points with enough time on their side.
No, if you're thinking of going to bed at this time of the night, don't. Just for the sake of what might be an interesting few minutes. It's, what have they kicked now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the last 10 goals, which, you know, would be not thrill Michael Walsh and Carlton, but 10 points.
But I think you've got to be realistic too. You're not going to dominate one of the best teams in the competition for 4 quarters. They're going to have their passages, and they're starting to get better looks up forward. It was a little bit, funnily enough, it was almost like slow motion when the ball came to ground. There was just no one there at ground level for Melbourne, for Carlton, sorry. Made it look a little bit too easy, Tom Sparrow.
So let's see what they do. See if we can notice anything that the Blues put into place. They've given up 8 of the last 10 goals. The margin's got down to 10. There's 3.5 minutes on the clock. Is there anything demonstrative that is put in place? We've got Setterfield here as a defensive winger going right up to the line.
It's going to be another free kick here.
Umpire's trying to do the counting here.
It's because they've got 2 here. 2 here on the wing on this side.
7 and 4. So they've had a warning and they've given up 2. They've given up 1 and now another.
Back in position.
So you've got to hit that chip kick. You've got to hit that kick. Take a bit of time off the clock.
The umpires are trying to get them back in their positions. The players, I said, nah.
Not many of them are listening. So a little bit of time here. Being a little conservative with the ball.
Williamson with a runner. And a deep kick. De Koning didn't get the avenue that time, but Kennedy.
This is the game. Oh, this is a serious game.
He is Michael Voss.
Possession 37 and possibly goal number 3 coming up.
It's a Michael Voss game. Yeah. That's how good it is.
He does have good hands, so he can play
He has shown
as a medium-sized forward that can take a very good mark. So to have a midfielder that can amass possessions but also play forward like that, gee, it's...
Well, it's so vital now with the balance of a team because you want your mids to rotate. They have to stay on the ground and go somewhere at times. And they need to be able to convert.
Oh, that hurts. But Michael Voss has got some options now.
Sam Walsh obviously will come back at rounds sort of 3, 4, 5, depending on how he recovers from his syndesmosis.
Going very well, apparently, all reports.
Oliver, slapdash kick. Wiedemann that time did the early work on Parks. Took the mark. Jordan streaming back towards goal. An unlikely target. Fritz is there or thereabouts. And McDonald the most likely. Free kick.
Did it well. Got in behind. Turned around, wanted to come back at the ball, and Williamson still had his back to the ball. I think that was the reason why they played the free. So
I reckon he's a little stiff, Williamson, because he does turn around. Yes, he's looking where his opponent is, but then he takes front spot, turns around and attacks the footy.
Yeah, he initiated contact, though, without having looked at the ball.
It's a tough position to be in when you're running back with the flight, isn't it, as a defender?
To cut the margin to 4 points.
So, conversely, we asked the question, is it important at all if Melbourne win or not? How much does it take the shine or gloss off what, you know, we've been waxing lyrical about Carlton all night. With 2 minutes to go, they're 4 points in front. If they dropped it from here, how much damage does it do, if any?
I think the win would be great for Carlton because it gives validation for the performance. So you get the payoff. You played this well for that long. I mean, they've dropped off a bit in the last quarter, and that'll be something they talk about. But you need it to pay off because you've done so many things right. You need to be shown that, yes, if you do it right, we get rewarded. All of a sudden, if you get snipped at the end, it just takes a little bit of confidence away from it.
And all it would also do is bring up the issues that the Blues have had. So that's 8 of the last 10, but 9 of the last 11.
2 minutes remaining. Our first thrilling finish of the season. De Koning in the ruck, roving as well. Sends it out for Cottrell v Bowie. And now Langdon, and Melbourne will get their look. And maybe not.
Minute 45, you're in possession of the ball. You've got to get home from there.
Now, they very quickly declared long down the line was their hand. So I think you've got to try and hit these chip kicks when they're available. Don't be too predictable, because that's what Melbourne are setting up for.
Match sim, you would have matched sim this how many times over the summer months?
So he could have gone back to Saad, but instead it is that obvious kick down the line. Gawn gets it out of bounds.
Well, that's a good result for Carlton. So you get to set up at a stoppage, get your defensive structure right behind the footy, and you're in the forward third of the ground.
So they've got Williamson on his own deep in defensive 50. He's the only really loose behind the ball at the moment.
Gawn. Langdon. Mashed it high and wide. Wiedemann, Newman.
Good effort.
So he's calling long down the line, but you can see the eyes were looking. He was looking for a shorter option, didn't have it.
Sends it back to the numbers. Chera. Hewitt. O'Brien. He got to the 50. Plowman. He's using his defensive skills to knock it out of bounds.
He did what he needed to do, Hutto. That was the perfect result. If he couldn't take the mark, that's the next best thing.
And also, let's see if Melbourne have got a plan in place here to try and just go helter-skelter from deep in their defence with 40 seconds on the clock.
Got loose defender, the Blues. Sitting deep.
Fisher, O'Brien steps through, back to Fisher. And Plowman takes the mark. And that'll be enough.
Yes, and the Blues fans are up and about. So, last kick of the game it'll be, and it would have been robbery if the Demons had got up. But He's just got himself into a few spots, Lockie Plowman. It's always nice to have that in your back of your mind, I reckon.
2 goals in his AFL career, Lockie Plowman. Just wouldn't register, obviously, for the real stuff.
Well, McGovern goes back. He says, all right, let me have a look now, shot.
Kick after the siren. He'll kick it behind, but it will be enough for Carlton to start the season in a winning fashion. Finish and start the pre-season in winning fashion under their new coach, Michael Voss. A lot to like. Melbourne did obviously threaten, but Carlton ultimately on top.
Yep, and they will go through an exercise now where they'll review really heavily, and it's against opposition, really good opposition for the first time, and there's a lot of what they've done tonight that you'd think they'll build on and get better at, but there's enough to see. Anyway, from my point of view, I think you're the same, Jace, where you go, yeah, I see what you're trying to do, and you did it pretty well for most of the night.
Great things for both teams to come out of this. I mean, the Blues, we saw so many positives, a few different structural things that we liked and that worked. But for Melbourne also, it gives great ammunition for Simon Goodwin to chat about, hey, we played little patches which got us back in the game, but if we're not switched on, everyone's chasing us, and we're going to get rolled if we're not 100% focused.
And he will point out the easy drop marks, the drop chest mark,
the 50-metre penalties, those sort of things.
Yeah, the abuse penalties. And so yeah, he's got a bit to throw at them ahead of their big rematch with the Dogs in a few weeks' time. So there's positives and negatives in both. Patrick Cripps for me in the end was just unbelievable, and Kennedy, I've not seen him play as good a footy as that. And we know Chera is quality, but George Hewitt just slots in, and we get a look at him in a different light. Maybe we haven't seen him enough in the flesh because he's up in Sydney every second week, but it was very nice.
We should mention also that Melbourne had 5 of their premiership back 6 not playing. That'll make a difference.
Yeah, that's less about that.
A big difference.
And more about how they played and what mistakes they made.
Agreed. But for me, it was just the wonderful positive signs that the Blues showed. That I think if I'm a Blues supporter, I'm really stoked with what I'm seeing. Not because of the result, but because of the manner in which it's unfolding.
And there was an out-and-out star on the ground. Patrick Cripps was one. The other one, I think, Kath Lochner might have down on the ground.
He was an out-and-out star tonight. But, Matt, before I grill you about your own individual performance, how much confidence will the team take from this pre-season hit out against the reigning premiers?
Yeah, look, they're a bloody tough side, but I think we're building confidence day one of pre-season. Obviously, Vossi, a new set of coaches. I think the first step was just building really good connection, and from that, a lot of trust has flowed from that. And I think it starts with the way we train, and it's been a pretty brutal pre-season, but the boys have done well, and we're just building confidence week by week.
You mentioned the whole new coaching team. Is there a particular coach that's had an impact on you? Because you were outstanding tonight.
I think I've done a lot of work with Lukey Power over the last couple of years, and then Timmy Clark coming into that midfield role. They really complement each other, and those two have been working really closely with the mids and the 2 new guys in Georgie Hewitt and Ches, and really good connection has been formed between players and coaches, and I think we're seeing that grow onto the field.
Your back end to last season was great. What did you exactly do in the off-season to push for more senior opportunities this year? Because it started well tonight with 37 touches and 2 goals.
I think for me it's probably fitness. Trying to lose a little bit of weight was really the start. And then Vossi's been really banging on and they're getting plenty of mids through there. So I think we're just working well together and sharing the ball. So.
Tell you who else is looking lean and mean is the captain, Paddy Cripps. What about him?
Yeah, he's looking all right, the big fella, that's for sure. But he's been good. He's led from the front and just growing in confidence, like I've been saying, and trust.
Right on cue. Paddy, well done tonight. Paddy Cripps, step in. We were just saying how lean and mean you're looking. You look as though you're moving as freely as ever. Do you feel it?
Yeah, I've had a good pre-season. It all started the off-season. Went away, worked hard, and gives you a good base to attack pre-season. And we've had a good run. I really enjoyed it. So early, but it's a good little hit out before round 1.
Was that something intentional to drop a bit of weight?
Oh, probably about the same, to be honest. Yeah. I've just I just had a clean run, so it always makes a difference. So I feel good, but yeah, it's still in the early days.
And the early signs suggest that this is a club well and truly heading in the right direction.
Yeah, look, we take a lot of confidence out of a pre-season. We had a really tough one, and we had a lot of boys out in the track. So although these games don't mean that much for a team like us, we feel like we're on the way up. You know, you always take confidence out of the wins, and you want to play the right way the whole time. So look, you know, they were the best team last year. They had a few out, we had a few out, but it was always good to come away with a win. What
about the new additions of Hewitt and Chera and the depth they add to this midfield? I think you won clearances by 22 tonight, centre clearances by 11 against the likes of Petraga and Oliver.
Yeah, look, it makes my job easier anyway. They're tough, they're clean. They've come in and they just worked hard, and boys love them. They get on with their run, and so did the start of something. We've got Walsh to add to that, so that's the exciting part. But yeah, look, against, you know, arguably the best midfield in the comp, yeah, it was good to have you hit out. The boys are all waiting for you, so I'll let you go. Well done, Paddy. Cheers, thanks.
Thank you, Kath, and thank you to Patrick Cripps and Matthew Kennedy, two of the stars tonight. For Carlton, a really positive start. 15-8-98 to 14-9-93 as the journey under Michael Voss starts to take shape. We'll take a break. Gaz and Jason back to take you through and wrap up tonight's proceedings and what might be ahead for us in the short and longer term here on Fox Footy.
is the 2021 World Champion. The checkered flag is out and history is made.
I think they're about to make contact.
We should blow them out of the sky right now.
But they could hold the key to our future.
Sir, they're sending a message.
Outside, and the field is set to run. They are ready.
Sorry, everyone. It's just that we're still alive in the quaddie.
Incredible.
It's arrived. Sportsbet's new Bet With Mates. Start your group, bet together and share in the moment. Bet With Mates, new from Sportsbet.
Tune in next time for the Maximus Duathlon Grand Final. Who will do more and win a gargantuan 10K for their charity?
Thank you.
There's going to be some damaging storms on our west coast today. There could be wind.
No worries, Mr. Kim. I understand.
Moving to Nui, great spot.
Yeah, I heard about the storm.
I'll get your Wi-Fi sorted.
We have a few options for your dad. Let's get your business back online.
G'day, Mick. Good to see you. Glad I could help, Mrs. Lee.
Bye.
Oh, this is when Corinne and Roxanne first thought of their business idea. Special treats your dog can eat. So they decided to go for it with GoDaddy. They started their new doggy treat business online for free with GoDaddy's website builder. GoDaddy made it easy with professionally designed templates and marketing tools to increase sales. With orders rolling in and out the door, it's a real treat for Corinne and Roxanne too. So when you want to get your business idea online, back yourself and go for it with GoDaddy.
Tune in next time for the Maximus Duathlon Grand Final. Who will do more and win a gargantuan 10K for their charity?
Fifi, Teddy, Janice.
Nothing gives better protection from both paralysis ticks and deadly heartworm than Simparica Trio. So if you're a dog person, you want the protection that matters.
It's impossible to take hold of the world spotlight overnight. Create your own uniform. Be a cover model, a powerful athlete, or compete as a trans woman. Impossible? No. I'm possible.
Between two guys who hate each other.
You're never going to find a fight where two guys know each other better or hate each other more.
One of the greatest rivalries mixed martial arts has ever seen.
Welcome to the Carlton Draft.
I've been around community footy for a long time, and local clubs need our support more than ever. I've got just the blokes for the job. They'll bring heat to the contest. Kick snags on demand. Excite the local fans. Dominate the goal square. And most importantly, get around your mates. This year, some legends of the game are ready to return to the field and be drafted to your club. For your chance to draft your newest teammate, head to thecarltondraft.com.au. This is the Carlton Draft.
Great idea, the Carlton Draft. Some local footy players going to line up on Eddie bets, or the concern will be if Barry Hall decides to play. That's when there's going to be some trouble. Hey, the AMMI Community Series is off and running, and we've had a winner tonight at the Carlton Footy Club, and they've done it pretty impressively. Just hit a bit of a hurdle towards the end, but they've won by 5 points, and there was a lot to like about it, Jason.
It's a cracking game, wasn't it? We really enjoyed it. They showed so many positive signs, the Blues, from virtually 10 minutes into the game. They looked unstoppable, and then it got a little bit wobbly in the last quarter as the D's started to find a little bit of rhythm, even though there's a lot that they can improve on. They had 5 of their back 6 not playing, so I think more to take out of it for the Blues. In fact, a lot to take out of it for the Blues, and a little bit of excitement as they look forward to the coming season. Yeah, I think there are... in the end, Melbourne would have got a fair bit out of it, and as we said during the call, Simon Goodwin will have plenty to put at them over the next couple of days. But let's start with the way that they structured up Carlton, and we know that they're missing Charlie Curnow. Harry Mackay was the sole forward, but it was their smalls at the ground level that were doing all the damage, and that continued throughout the theme. There's one, look at that one, there's 3 of them there, and the Melbourne defenders were all at sea trying to man these boys at ground level. In particular, we loved Owies, Durden and Fisher. They were the 3 small designated forwards. Then you had midfielders and other types that go and spend patches forward. But they were the 3 little ones that applied pressure, that were always front and square, that were always buzzing around, making things happen and kicking goals. So all of a sudden it gives them great structure in the forward 6. I mean, that's just making something out of nothing. It looked an intercept mark, Durden able to get there and affect the spoil. Imagine when you get Curnow back in and you've got Mackay and Curnow as your keys, and then these little mosquitoes buzzing around. I think he's onto something here, Michael Voss. It was a great example, that last one. I mean, it was the small who just got the hand into lever, and then it was a small at ground level. So it was a great result. And there will be plenty at ground level if Tom De Koning lets any get through his hands, because he's not going to die wondering, this young man, and he was the excitement package of the night. Well, he played at times as the second tall forward, threatened to take a screamer early in the game. He was leaping and attacking and crashing packs. He's a terrific athlete with so much improvement still to come. And just when we thought we'd seen the could-have-been things, he actually completed one. Jumps on Max Gawn's back, takes the ride, and then pulls in a ripper, and I think we're going to see plenty of that as he gets into his career. Yeah, it's going to be great. It's exciting to think. And Charlie Curnow comes back, and you've got Harry Mackay and he running around. What did you think when they went after midfield depth to support Walsh and Cripps was always going to be critically important? Chera was like, he's blue chip. He was great. But then they went with George Hewitt. What were your thoughts? I think he's underrated as a player, George Hewitt. He was terrific at Sydney. I think we, at different times, pigeonholed him as a lockdown midfielder. He finds it in his own right. He makes good decisions. He's generally got pretty good ball use, but he can also look after an opponent as well as getting possessions. And he chalked up 33 possessions, 10 of them contested, 7 clearances. And you spoke numerous times about how they were dominating what was happening in the middle of the ground. I mean, the clearances was a fantastic result for the Blues. I said pre-game, Chera and Hewitt is exactly what they need to give them depth and increased quality in the midfield. Yeah, and I mean, it was Patrick Cripps who kicked 4 goals. It was sensational. Kennedy we spoke to. There's a bloke sitting in the grandstand by the name of Sam Walsh who would have been thinking, finally, I'm going to have some running support through the middle. So he nearly won a Brownlow single-handedly carrying the side. So that was exciting. Durden, you spoke about, a young man who played senior footy in South Australia at the age of 16. This was disappointing because and I agree, he probably played himself into the first game. No doubt. And then had done his calf. Yeah, and hopefully this is just being very cautious. taking all the precautions to make sure that if there's a little niggle there, we've still got a couple of weeks before the season starts. As long as he hasn't strained or torn anything, it's okay. So hopefully he'll be there to take his place in round one, because I think he's an important part of that forward 50 makeup.
I got a text from my father who was horrified at the abuse 50. Now, what he's not privy to is what we and all the clubs have been privy to in the pre-season. That is a zero-tolerance approach to this.
But what this will be, Gaz, tonight was a great lesson.
That was Max Gorn.
Yeah, he did the first one. He was... And you can see him there, and we saw Christopher Tracker got pinged at different stages. I think this is a great lesson for all the other football players out there going, OK. And
that is the one where you go, OK. Like he looked at the thing and then just said, oh, no. That would indicate that it is zero tolerance.
So if I'm watching as a player, I'm going, no talk to the umpire in any way, shape or form that's anything remotely negative or even just laughing. Unless you want to say, nice decision, nothing else.
Yeah, and we know as players, and you know, people watching who have all played footy, you do get frustrated, and it is sometimes you're just going to have to step away. You're going to have to turn your back and step away.
Cop it. Just cop it and move on.
And cop it. And there were plenty of them tonight, so I wonder what the attitude to that will be from Simon Goodwin and the Melbourne, because they gave away 6 or 7 50s for the night.
I think players in general will look at this and they'll learn very quickly.
Yeah, so Tommy Morris is in the Melbourne rooms. I'm not sure whether he's spoken to anyone officially, Tommy, but if that, and this is the first of these pre-season games, if that's the template of what we're about to see, let's see how 16 other teams, how quick a learner they are.
Yeah, Gary, the AFL does say it is a template tonight of what we're going to see moving forward. There's always sort of a balancing out period, isn't there, where the early pre-season games and round 1 and round 2 are a little bit harsher than the rest. But it must be said, the AFL, the umpires had 650 club visits this pre-season. So Melbourne would have been visited by umpires 1 to 2 times a week across the pre-season. So they were under no illusions as to what they were going to expect tonight. They gave away 3 free kicks or 3 50-metre penalties for dissent, another 2 for time wasting. Then there was a couple of times as well where they had 7 players in their defensive 50, which of course led to 2 free kicks as well in the centre. Just Gil McLachlan's quote from yesterday I find intriguing, to say the least. He said, frankly, I take responsibility for the fact it's gotten away from us. The AFL is acutely aware that at local level, there's 6,000 umpires short. They do bear in mind the fact that women's football has grown unbelievably, but they also know that umpiring at local level needs to be fixed, or needs to, you know, they need to have more respect for the umpires. And they do believe there's a strong correlation between how players treat umpires at the elite level and how that filters down. Gil McLachlan also said people yelling at umpires from 20 metres away, that is over. So this zero tolerance policy, I'd imagine, will be carried out through the weekend. Clearly, Melbourne didn't do it well tonight, and Carlton did it better, I guess. But this is an emotional game. It's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out when there's 4 points on the line, or later in the year when finals are on the line as well. Because clearly the AFL is making a stand. They haven't changed any rules. They're just making it a stricter interpretation as to exactly what players can say to umpires. And based on tonight, you'd have to say that's very little.
Good on you, Tommy. Thanks for that. Not only what they say, but on the basis of what we saw with Adam Tomlinson, it's about how demonstrative.
Correct.
Now, there's going to be huge backlash over that. I am saying, OK, break a few eggs to make the omelette. I'm not overly comfortable with the Tomlinson one, but broadly, hugely supportive of the zero tolerance.
I think so. Stand there, hold your head, grimace, groan inwardly, but don't look at the umpire and laugh and go, that's a silly decision. You just can't do it.
Jason, it was an absolute pleasure to be in commentary with you tonight to see the AMMI Community Series kick off. The Blues have done it in fine style, and the Michael Voss have had a win. That is a great result. The Demons have got plenty to work with. It's going to be a big, big couple of days on Fox Footy. You'll see the rest of these games live and free for tonight. It was the Blues by 5 points.
This program brought to you by AMMI, proud major partner of the AFL. Macca's. Footy's back. I'm loving it. And Harvey Norman. Everything you need in electrical, technology, furniture and bedding.
Pop, I wish we could go to the footy.
Come and sit down here. We can go to the game.
We can?
Yep. Fox Footy.
Petrarca! A kick after a siren to win the game.
He kicks.
Oh, that'll be me one day.
No doubt it will.
There are rules about what you see on TV. The industry association, ASTRA, has developed codes of practice covering programming on subscription television channels like this one. To see the codes, visit the ASTRA website at astra.org.au.
This program brought to you by AMMI, proud major partner of the AFL. Maccas. Footy's back. I'm loving it. And